Before we start, let me clarify a few things. This is White Mask Obito versus Kabuto. Kabuto is restricted from using Edo Tensei, and Obito can't use the Geto statue. The scenario is when Obito threatens Kabuto to show him the Edo Tensei, or he kills him. Kabuto refuses and Obito attacks him. So now, let's explain what we know about the combatants. Obito believes he can kill Kabuto. He threatens to do so before and after he gets the Rinnegan. Kabuto, by contrast, thinks fighting Obito is too risky, and avoids conflict with Edo Tensei, or by following Obito's commands. Basically, the story's implying that Obito is stronger. When it comes to intel, Kabuto has the advantage. Obito only knows that Kabuto absorbed Orochimaru's chakra, that Kabuto has medical knowledge, and that Kabuto knows the Edo Tensei. Kabuto knows about the Rinnegan's abilities, Sharingan abilities. Kabuto did research on Hashirama cells, aka research on wood style. The only move in Obito's arsenal that Kabuto doesn't understand is Kamui. Now let's talk about physical abilities. Kabuto was keeping up with Sasuke and Itachi in skirmishes. He dodged Sasuke's Susanoo arrow, and he ripped Itachi in half. He also took no damage throughout their fight thanks to his regeneration. Obito was getting jumped by KCM Naruto, Killer Bee, Guy, and Kakashi, and was doing just fine. He actually had the upper hand throughout the entire fight with just physical strength and Kamui. And remember, Obito was in intense close combat with them, while Itachi and Sasuke were keeping their distance from Kabuto. And Itachi was warning Sasuke against lethal attacks. Let's assume that EMS Sasuke and Itachi are both equal to KCM Naruto in physical abilities. That would place Kabuto as either equal to or slightly stronger than KCM Naruto. He'd still be weaker than Obito considering how well Obito did against KCM Naruto. Now let's talk about their abilities. Kabuto can counter Obito's Genjutsu by closing his vision and relying on Sage Mode. Obito can phase through all attacks with Kamui, and Kabuto can regenerate like Orochimaru, and liquefy himself like Suigetsu. Obito has wood style, but Kabuto would turn it against him with inorganic reanimation. We are assuming both characters are going for the kill, so Obito can use his Rinnegan abilities. And we already know Kabuto isn't confident dealing with them. The Preta path is a liability in this fight because Kabuto will use Jugo to overload Obito with Sage Energy and petrify him. The main questions in this fight is if Kabuto's White Rage attack and Demonic Flute Genjutsu can paralyze Obito. Itachi could use his Susanoo during the White Rage attack, so we can assume Obito can use Kamui. When Kabuto used the Demonic Flute, it deactivated Itachi and Sasuke's Susanoo. But Itachi could still use Tsukuyomi, and Sasuke could use Sharingan Genjutsu. From this, we can assume that Obito would use Kamui and his Rinnegan to stall long enough to break the Genjutsu. The main takeaway is Kabuto doesn't have anything to stop Obito, and this was reflected in how worried he was in fighting him. Remember, this was the same Kabuto bragging about being equal to the Sage of Six Paths. Obito's main path to victory is soul extraction because Kabuto won't leave himself vulnerable to being sucked into Kamui. Obito would slowly close the distance with Kamui, phasing through Kabuto's webs, bones, and inorganic reanimation, until he can find an opening to extract Kabuto's soul while being intangible. Obito takes this fight low difficulty because he's a horrible matchup for Kabuto. Kabuto relies on overwhelming opponents with ninjutsu, but Obito easily counters that. Obito's main weakness are people fast enough to blitz Kamui, and that's not Kabuto's fighting style. Anyways, that's how I think this fight would go, and I'll see you next time.